In the third stage, you'll come across this fork in the road. Take the upper path, skip across the water, and run through these air jugs. When you get to this one though, the damn air will be blowing right at you, as well as down, which can make getting across a bit of a problem. And when you finally do, you don't want to slip into the water, so once you get to the edge, be ready to guide yourself to the ground unless you can jump over it. Take short jumps here to avoid bumping your head, and then watch your head over here as another hidden power-up can bite you in the ass. Skip across the water and you'll arrive at the boss, this kinda sorta triceratops looking thing, and guess what happens? He jumps around, freezes when you fire at him, and dies after you jump on the spring. Talk about variety. Do the exact same thing you did in the previous bosses. Jump on the spring, jump twice to hit it again, rinse, wash, repeat. Once you kill him, you'll get a flower and the third world has officially been conquered. The fourth world is a desert environment. There'll be these staircases where the stairs fold up and it becomes an uphill climb. Waiting at the top of some of them is this thing that discharges bouncing cannonballs, so you'll want to move fast and jump over them. And on this particular one in the beginning, be ready to attack this prick that flies off the hang glider. Making this jump successfully is tough. You'll have to hit this guy as you're landing to clear him out of the way and immediately jump over the cannonball. After climbing this long staircase, these guys will be waiting immediately for you, so stay low to avoid activating the folding staircase and take them out one by one, then climb up. Slide down here, jump over the lava, although you can skip across it like the water if you want to. Pass a few more of these staircases and you're finished. In the second level, when you get to this spot, watch out for the centipede or whatever it is. Make sure you slow down so you don't run into him and take him out. Then you'll find another one of these poles. I didn't mention it before, but there's an extra life trick with these things. First, swing yourself up here, stand on this block and slip off the edge so you land directly onto it. You'll get 10 extra lives this way. It's pretty hard to get it right with all the other poles, but this one is easy and you might need all those lives. Get a big jump over this lava pit and be cautious of the cannonballs that will roll your way. When you get here, watch out for these guys that fall out of the sky. If you come running up too fast, you'll get tagged. The finish line is just ahead, but right before that is a minute decreaser, so grab that. The third level has more of these falling blobs from the sky you just ran into, right as you slide down here, so try to slip down early enough to land on the flat surface so you don't get hit. You may be tempted to take this long ass jump, but I implore you to jump down here, it's easier. Just make sure you get a decent jump or you'll land in the lava. When you get here, take a long running jump over this pole, then another one, and after a couple more pits and some enemies, you'll find yourself at the boss, the same furry fuck from the first world. Only this time the spring slides across each time you push it down, so it's actually a bit more challenging. You don't want to jump on the spring while he's near you or you'll slide right into him. Take your time a bit more on this one, jump on the spring when he's far away and you'll be done with him. Get some shrooms and head on to World 5, which is a sky world, lots of clouds, pits, shit like that. A word of warning, these bridges that collapse underneath you are a recurring theme, usually followed by a long jump. Just make sure you're always keeping an eye on whatever's on the bridge as well as what's right after it. Also, these yellow and black shaped rectangles at the bottom of the screen may look like walkable platforms, but it's bullshit. You'll just fall through, so don't fall for it. You're going to want to head for higher ground as it usually is a quicker and easier path. Like right here, let this air jug carry you up here, then sprint as fast as you can so you don't get struck by lightning, but jump toward the end so you don't run into this prick, or attack him as you're running, then get as long a jump as possible to the cloud below. Watch for the falling red blobs from the sky, but don't hold back too much or you'll fall through. Be sure to jump as soon as you land on a piece of the bridge and get the hell out of there. The end is not far off. At the beginning of stage 2, use this air jug to get up here, watch the falling red blobs on the bridge, and get as long a jump as you possibly can. When you get here, you're going to encounter a shitload of narrow platforms. Don't be afraid of falling, as it doesn't lead to death, but try to stay up here anyway, as it's less dangerous. Unfortunately, this area is a death pit, so ideally what you want to do is take this guy out, jump over onto the air jug, and have it take you over to this guy, and then you're at the end. In stage 3, you'll run into one of these poles. Get a good swing from it to send you up here to the higher path, then get a good running leap at the edge of these platforms to get some distance. Once you get here, use the air jug to take you up. There'll be some falling red blobs on the bridge, get past them and take 2 long leaps, being very careful to land on one of these mini clouds. After the next bridge, you'll find another pole, which with the right amount of torque can swing you straight up to the boss. And lucky you, there's a minute decreaser power up as well as a stopwatch here. Once again, it's the Triceratops, only this time he's a little more aggressive, and the spring slides each time you bounce on it, just like the rematch with the furry guy. Nothing new in terms of strategy, just be sure not to jump on the spring while he's right next to you. Once you take him out, grab the pollen, I guess, and you'll be on your way to World 6, which is actually a relatively easy set of levels. There are a lot of these tubes that you can slip into and pop out on the other end. You can't get hurt in any of these things, but a lot of times a cannonball will travel through it and fall out on the other end, so don't be standing below it for too long. There are also a bunch of these bouncy springs, so be cautious when you're above water pits. When you get to this one, if you bounce up correctly out onto this area, you can actually land on the end of the level, although it's really not a big deal to take the lower route. Start up the second stage skipping across the water, and then again soon after, making sure to land on one of these small chunks of floating earth. Then just hop a few more platforms that float over the water, skip another body of water, and you're at the end. I didn't rush through the walkthrough of this level either, that's really about all there is to say. At the start of the third stage, skip across this lake twice and land on the spring to take you up here and grab a money bag, then slip back down. I'd get a good running start and just run clean off so you land on the spring and bounce your way along, trying not to fall. Be careful on these water pits with the springs, make sure you land on them and give yourself a good enough boost when there's a big gap. Use the air jugs to give yourself a good running boost over this large water pit with small platforms and you'll arrive at the boss. The same furry dickhead you faced twice already, and nothing has changed at all since the second battle. The spring will slide again and that's it. Same exact shit. So use the same strategy as earlier to kill him off, grab the flower, and there's only one more world, thank God. There'll be some more of these transportation tubes here. Although it's not a big deal, don't take the second one, as it's easier to walk across this area than the area below with the narrow platforms above the fall that will lead to certain death. Then you'll encounter these octagon-shaped platforms with a deadly electrical current passing around the perimeter. So you have to land on it when the current clears, and then make a running jump to the next one, usually while sliding down the edge, which isn't the easiest thing in the world at times since your slide is so fucking fast. You're better off jumping too early than too late, that way you won't just fall straight down to your doom, and watch out for the enemies that may be lurking on the next octagon. Then after some more of these folding staircases with the cannonballs, you'll encounter these electrical tightropes, where there'll be a fuse on the left side that darts across the right. So stand on this red thing, it's safe, I promise, and wait for the charge to go through and then pass. After slipping down here, get a good running jump to get over the water and under these guys to get to the end. The second stage immediately starts off with a body of water, so don't even walk yet. Back up and skip across or jump over. When you see this water pit ahead, stop and hop up and back this way. So if you fall while hopping these octagons, you'll still have a chance to land on one of these. Both sides will lead you to the same place soon after. Carefully make your way past these electrical tightropes and hop up here this way, because if you go down, you're going to be at risk to land on one of these smaller platforms. Skip across this water pit to take the top route. You could find yourself trapped if you take the low route. Jump over this chunk of water and use the pole to swing yourself up here. Running along these octagons and small cloud platforms can help bypass a good portion of what's left of the level. Just be sure not to land in the water here. Get a good jump over the edge of this tightrope and you'll be at the finish line, and you're almost done with the game. One more stage. Make sure when bouncing on these springs that you're on your way up and that you're on enough of an angle so you don't bump your head and take a dive into the water. Use these transportation tubes as much as you can and stay on higher ground whenever you get the chance. Stay at the low end of these folding staircases when these winged beasts come parading down. Take them out before you head up and put yourself in danger of the cannonball. Get a good running jump off the middle level of these springs, but you may want to land shorter so you can get a safer landing and spring your way up to this platform rather than taking a huge risk at landing way down here. It's very dangerous. It's easy to battle these fucking air jugs from the side anyway. Soon after that is the final boss, and guess what? It's another recycled boss battle, this prick from the second world. So much imagination has gone into these bosses, hasn't there? Well, it's the same shit as before, except this time you get these bouncy springs to play with instead of solid platforms. Bounce straight up and down on the same one and land on him as he passes by. That way you don't get caught down here. Once you take him out, you'll get a cactus, I guess. Now you just have to make sure you don't fall into this pit of spikes and you finish the game. So then Kid Kool runs to the castle, gives the king each herb, and you get to see him slowly toss each one at him one at a time. The king is cured, and depending on how fast you finish the game, you'll get a different prize from him. If you finish within an hour and a half, you'll get a box of jewels and the king's daughter. Hell yeah. An hour and a half to 2 hours, you'll get the jewels. 2 to 3 hours, you get money. And 3 hours and above, the king dies and you get jack shit. The dialogue is fucking weird. Right after Kid Kool says, "I really did it," the king's right-hand man, or whoever the fuck he is, says, "Well, haven't you done too much?" What the hell is his problem? Did he want the king to die? Then they actually make mention that the game is over and the end credits roll. So yeah, Kid Kool was far from a smash hit. But I guess if it weren't for the poor graphics, broken controls, the slow shifting transition screens, cheap deaths, frustrating difficulty, monotonous bosses, and poor level design, then it could have been a decent little platformer. Instead, it just plain sucks. That wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.